Hi, everyone. My name is Sam West with Signature West Podcast. I'm your host from Palm Springs, California. My guest today is Ubaldo Boido. He was a guest before in October, and he's back because he is now running as a progressive Democrat of California Assembly District 42. If you don't know what that means, we're going to find out in a minute. Hi, Ubaldo.
Hi, Sam. Hi,
Hey,
listeners.
how are you?
Great. How are you?
Take two.
Yeah.
Good. So when you were here in October, uh, we were talking about you and your partner taking on this huge challenge, which is the taking the asylum seekers, the LGBTQ, and helping them find their way and assist them in the process, which is a pretty tedious process. And you were doing it from the goodness of your heart from your one-bedroom home. And your goal was to, by the end of the year, to get a bigger home so that we can function normally and live normally and have more kids to foster, for lack of a better term.
Well, we definitely avoid calling them kids, but we accomplished our goal. We got a 4-bedroom home in the Palm Springs area, able to house 6 people comfortably.
Right now you have 6.
We don't have 6 now. We have 1 right now.
Okay.
But there are 5. We're waiting for paperwork on 5. So we'll be pretty full probably by the end of the month, if not the first week of February.
This happened quick.
Yeah, it did happen really quick.
Really quick, yeah.
It actually happened through the grace of like just having friends in the area, because we had been looking to rent a home. And finally, one of our friends was like, wait a minute, my dad has a home for rent, maybe, or he's trying to rent. I don't know. So she contacted him, and like it all sort of turned into this thing where we were able to get the home. We're really excited. We've got beds. Paperwork is in the
Amazing.
Yeah, in the works. So housing 6 people. The one person that's here now, we're really happy. This young man from Honduras, that we're grateful that he's here. So yeah.
Don't worry, you'll be full soon, I'm sure. So don't get too excited with the space.
Yeah.
So what brings on politics? Well, you went from this, and now we're in January. You're not even like halfway through January. So what turned on this light bulb in your head saying, I want to get into the politics arena of it all? Why you're doing the other show? Why you're doing?
Right. And I also just got a job working remotely in Los Angeles. But I also I don't know. I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, what is the calling? The work we do now is political, right? Like everything we're doing is political in the sense that we're helping people that are disenfranchised by the U.S. government. And so we're holding this political torch while we do this work, housing LGBTQ migrants, but also wanting to get involved, just sort of like lets you kind of, get your foot in the door to influence policy, to influence Congress people, to speak to the marginalized voices in this assembly district, which, I said before, I'll say it again because it was, but there are 230,000 registered voters in this area.
In the district.
And of those, in this district, in the 42nd Assembly District. And of those,
is it a big number, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Is it a big number? Just relatively speaking to the space? Or is that average?
I think it's kind of low, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, when we think about the populations in Riverside and then all the way, like all the cities in this area, included this area, which is like, Yucaipa, Palm Springs itself, Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, La Quinta, Indian Wells, like all these. But, this is part of being a snowbird area, I think also, right? Where you have people that just come here for the winter.
Right.
Maybe they're not registered to vote here. So
they can't.
Yeah.
They can't. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and of those 230,000, only 24% of those are Democrats. So, part of the pool or part of the idea is to like pull together the progressives. The Equity 42 slate is pulling together the progressives of this area to say, let's work together to get all 14 seats and to influence a progressive agenda, which includes healthcare equity, immigration reform, economic equity, racial injustice equity.
And this is just for your voters in your 42nd district.
Yes, exactly. So that's the goal, is to sort of speak to all of the individuals in the 42nd district through the Democratic Party only, right? Like we wouldn't be working with the Republicans, or there would be no.
Wouldn't that be beneficial to you guys to work together, as they say, let's work together?
Yes, but we're only working with the party. That's what a delegate does, is sort of speak to the party,
right?
Democratic Party, about the constituents' ideas and needs. So, and one of the things we're pushing is Medicare for all.
And you've never had any background in politics?
No, I mean, I've always been a DSA member, which is
right.
Yeah.
So what would be on your agenda that you want to accomplish? When is the voting date, by the way?
So all of the voting is mail-in ballots.
Okay.
If you didn't get a chance to register to vote, you'll have to work on that in 2 years to register for ADEM, because the deadline was January 11th to register to vote for this election.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did, the deadline is January 19th is when we're asking everybody to send in their mail-in ballots, because we're working mail-in ballots.
That's in 6 days from now.
Yes. Yeah. So right now we're trying to run this slate. I mean, thankfully we started December. So mid-December, we got together and said, let's form this slate. Our biggest agenda, I think right now, one of the things that I've seen across all of the candidates in our equity slate, the Equity 42 slate, sort of speak to is Medicare for all. Like that's been the healthcare equity, which means single payer.
So here's my question. Obviously Bernie Sanders has been trying to do this for years on a much more bigger level, right? And you want to do the same thing in a much more smaller level. Don't you need the other side, the Bernie Sanders camp, to help you out to bring it home to your 42nd district?
I'm of the Bernie Sanders camp.
Oh,
so yes, yes. But yes, we do. But also we need the moderates to kind of say, yes, this is achievable. And one of the things I've been looking at a lot is like the sort of microcosm effect for the macrocosm.
Right.
So if you make it small, it'll grow into like these fractals, they say. So, you make the model small, and then the bigger model has a something to look at. So yeah, ideally, we're talking about California, single payer healthcare for everybody, every Californian in the state of California. So I think those things are achievable, and they need to be worked on. So that's why we're here, right? Like, and also, not having them is why we're in the middle of this horrible pandemic. I read today that Riverside County only received 77,000 doses of vaccine. That's nothing.
And right? Orange County is getting twice as much, and LA is doing twice as much.
Right, exactly. And there's a lot of people here, and Riverside County is huge. I mean, it starts in Riverside and goes all the way to Blythe, and like, it's a huge county. There's a lot of people here that need that. And
talk to the governor.
Exactly.
We're not going there.
That's why we're doing this.
We're not going there, right? You have a delegate that we have here with us, Edwin Ramirez, and he's also running on the same platform you're under.
Yeah.
So let's bring him in and get his intake on this. Edwin?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Great, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Sure. So how did you meet Ubaldo?
It's always fun. I love recounting the story because it's not just funny, but I think it goes to show you how networks work, right? how people meet. And we actually met online first because we were introduced through one of my compadres, Ricardo Bracho, who's a dear friend going way back. I had moved back from New York, and that's where Ricardo and I met. At that point, he was a playwright, and he included me. I was included in one of his plays as an act, as a character. But I'd been following his work for a long time, and he's beyond left, if you will, and I'm very proud to say that because Ubaldo and I are both on a progressive slate for the Assembly District 42. So I'm always very happy about that. Ubaldo and I actually met at a protest in Rancho Mirage. I live here in Palm Springs. I was born and raised in Palm Springs, but I spent about 20 years of my life in New York City.
You were born and raised in Palm Springs?
Yeah, it's kind of rare.
God, it's really rare.
Yeah, it's rare only because I think people expect a certain level of class and race.
Well, no. I mean, I remember Palm Springs in the 80s. I used to come here and had a restaurant, and it's just very different than now. And I remember in the 90s, and I remember, so I can't even imagine, maybe if you were born in the 60s or the 70s, you've seen it evolve and evolve and evolve.
Yeah, I love the history is great. I was born in 71. So I grew up through the 80s here, and of course the 90s, and I went to undergraduate school at UC Riverside. So I pretty much stayed in Riverside County until I moved to New York.
And when did you get into politics? Is that something you always wanted to do, or that's something that you got involved into organically?
I became more organic grassroots when I'm meeting at a protest is very telling of that. And, I think it is about that level of like, hey, when we connect with each other and like, I'm also, he invited me to be also part of this discussion group that looks at being queer and brown and POC in the desert and what it means to be tokenized. I think those kind of things have been always part of my sort of upbringing here in Palm Springs, for instance. So politics, actually, it goes way back. Actually, it did go back to high school. I was an associate student body. So I served as campus president, vice president, even secretary treasurer at one point at Palm Springs High School.
And you're also part of the Human Rights Commissioner?
Yeah, now I was appointed one of the commissioners on the Human Rights Commission here in Palm Springs.
And what does that look like? Like, what is that day to day? Like, what do you guys do exactly for human rights in this part of the world?
Well, there are a lot of things. We meet monthly, and our goals include, and I'm going to read it right off of what I have in front of me. Our goals include to develop community education programs, to investigate and mediate instances of discrimination of groups of individuals, to bring persons and groups together in common support of human rights issues, to acquire the fiscal and human resources necessary to support and accomplish the work of the Commission, to provide management and coordination for the Commission, and to promote diversity through the appointment of candidates to all city boards and commissions to proportionately reflect the diversity of the population of the city of Palm Springs. I'm going to end it with there, but you could go online and see it. But one of the big things that I worked on more recently was to be part of districting in Palm Springs. So I come from a neighborhood in Palm Springs that is both working class and brown predominantly. And in particular, my grandfather had bought a house here in the 60s, and so a lot of my family's here. And we are understanding that how much more there's also an enclave of Filipinos who live in Palm Springs, in the eastern part of Palm Springs near Elementary, called Veterans Tract.
So is this your first time running for something like District 42?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no,
a current
You're chopping up.
Are you still there?
I'm here. Yeah.
You can hear me now?
Yep.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm right by the I'm right by the Wi-Fi now. And I'm like, come on, work for me. No, I'm actually a current delegate for the California Democratic Party in Assembly District 42.
So this is not your first rodeo?
No, it's my second rodeo.
Okay. So how were you helping Ubaldo with this? Like, what advice have you given him? And since he's a rookie, what have you given him in this short amount of time that he decides to do this and jump on it, and the due date is coming really soon?
I think the first thing was to actually sign on to it, really. Ubaldo, you know, when I talked to you about this, one of the reasons why I came on was because we had progressive friends ask us to be part of a slate. I was able to, I came on as a delegate for the Assembly District 42 out and retired. He was Hector Vara, who was in Yucaipa. So I actually came in on that level. I wasn't voted in. I was like second alternate after the vote in 2019. Is that right? Yeah, 2019.
Because there's a lot of you guys
so when
on
you
the
think
poster. There's a lot of you on the poster that you're showing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
You can vote up to 14 delegates for the election. So there are 14 names that you can select to represent you. And those are self-identified females and those who are not self-identified other than. So yeah, so it's 14 folks that you could vote for. And I actually have I don't know if this, I guess this is okay to show, but like, because people are online, you can show ballots, but it looks like this. So like you could literally choose 14 names to represent you. And what we did is built a slate to sort of, you know, again, bring that cumulative power of a group that can, you know, each of us has that power, ability to reach a whole bunch of different people in a number. So if we could get that number, I think we could be successful as a slate.
Because you're all saying the same message, basically. You all have the same cause, the same principle, so to speak, right?
Pretty much,
right.
But I think we all have our unique areas of specialty, if you will. So like one of the areas, you know, that both Ubaldo and I talk about are LGBTQI, you know, rights, for instance. But I also, I'm very much interested in racial justice.
Right.
And one of also arts and cultural activism. So yeah, so I think we all bring something unique. What we need to do is get those votes first in order to get these progressives, you know, elected.
Okay, so when is the deadline? It's by mail only, and you have to have it by when?
That's correct.
Yes. Yeah, so go ahead.
Oh no, you said it earlier.
Yeah, so we're trying to get everybody to mail in their ballots by January 19th.
Okay.
So, yeah.
To mail them, they have to be mailed, stamped, mailed by the 19th.
Yes.
That's the deadline.
That's what we're asking everyone to do. So yes.
But what is that your deadline? Like legal? What is your legal deadline?
Well, so the legal deadline, which is on the ballot, says January 22nd. Oh. But the concerns being that mail,
right.
You know, there's a post office shortage right now.
Right.
I mean, so you know.
Okay, so in 60 seconds, each one of you, Ubaldo, you go first. Why should voters vote for you?
Well, I think voters should vote for me because, first of all, I'm new blood. I'm bringing in new ideas. I'm bringing in fresh ideas for progressive causes. I work specifically with LGBTQ rights and immigration reform are my biggest concerns, as well as Medicare for all. I'm new to the area, but I've been here for a year, so it's not that new, but it's new enough to say I don't know that many people, but I do know what I've seen and what I would like to help champion. So if you vote for me, you know, you're helping create new ideas and new blood flow to the area.
Edwin?
I'd like to echo that. At the same time, you know, by electing me and Ubaldo, you're bringing in folks who are very much underrepresented. This is the only area that our district can elect from a grassroots level, people, just everyday people also. And I think that's what's really important. And you know, that was actually one of the things that we were really pushing forward. I come from a group of Filipino cultural organizers here and community organizers in Palm Springs, very much overlooked on so many levels. We're looking at issues of gentrification and justice, and on our levels of how to build those strong coalitions with other communities of color in Palm Springs. We're looking at also, you know, and those are the things that it's at the heart of who I am. I'm also a primary caregiver for my mom. So I'm basically at home taking care of mom. She's a stroke survivor, and you know, a lot of times we don't get to be elected to things like this. So we can go and help, you know, build that strong, you know, electoral that will support Medicare for all, for instance. And I think those are the things that are at the core of who we are at Equity 42 and the slate. I think it's very important to get us on there so that we can elect more progressive members to the statewide body of the California Democratic Party as well, and to help push, ballot propositions that may come up that will be strong on the progressive level.
And if you win your term, and God willing you will, how long are you there for?
2 years.
3 years for your term?
Years.
2 years.
One last question I had. So how do I find out if I live in District 42 or not, so I can vote for one of you?
If you go to the kadem.org website, CADEM.org website, they'll have all the information there about finding your district, about who your delegates are, about when the deadline to register was and is, and also how to get your ballot.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you have my vote. You have my hope. I do hope that you guys get it. I don't know Edwin that well. I know Ubaldo's been on a mission for a while. Congrats on your house.
Thank you.
And listen, if not this time, there'll be a next time.
Exactly.
All the best. And thank you again for coming on. And I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for having me down.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.